All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're here today talking about invoice and statement delivery. This is episode 37 of Toolbox Tuesday, and you've got both myself and Carlie for today's presentation. I'll be going through the PowerPoint real quickly, as you see here, and then Carlie will jump into the live demo. So, as you know, we like to go through this very quickly, but the agenda for today, just so you can get an idea of what's going to be going on, we're going to first go through the gaps that exist today in Business Central. Then we're going to go through some of the solutions that we've created. Next, Carlie's going to spend a bulk of the time going through a live demo on invoice and statement delivery. Then we'll go through the next steps that you can utilize to be successful with the free trial, if that's something that you're interested in. We'll also go with some resources like our website, our YouTube channel, and our product guide, as well as our user documentation if interested. And then, like I said, we've got Q&A. Please just put those in the chat throughout, and we'll attempt to answer those as we go. So quickly, just some of the gaps that we have today in Business Central. One, emailing documents out of Business Central is manual and time consuming. Number two, there's no easy way to bulk send or send immediately upon posting within Business Central. There's not really a way to send automated reminders, statements, payment receipts, do recurring invoicing. And there's definitely not an ability to update data on documents that have already been posted. One other one that I'll call out too that we'll talk about is there's not a way to do automated ASNs, which we'll talk about here in a second. So the solutions, right? We've got the ability to automatically send documents upon posting. We've got the ability to send statements and invoice reminders automatically from job queues and dashboards, which we'll get into. We can skip sending on post and send later from a dashboard, which we'll talk about. We can schedule documents to be sent on daily, weekly, or monthly cadences, as well as user-defined cadences with job queues. We've got the ability to auto email AR agings internally on a daily basis. So think of you getting an Excel file with the summaries and as well as the details, again, in your inbox on a daily basis. And then one of the things that sets us apart is our rich text HTML email templates. We're going to give you a lot more flexibility as well as company branding for all of your customers, as well as your AR emails, which we'll get into on the demo today. I also want to talk about a few recent updates. So a lot of what we just saw has been in the tool for a couple years. This is one of the first tools that we created a few years ago, but some of the additional recent updates that we'll be highlighting today. So one is enhanced updated posting of documents. So not only can we do comment lines and GL lines, but we've expanded this to some other areas as well on the posted sales invoice and posted sales credit memo. ASNs, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We'll show this today. Your advanced shipment notice dashboard, we can do this now on ship, not just invoice. Emailing consolidation of payment reminders. We've added additional optionality in to send one email rather than multiple emails as we've seen done in the past. Zipping files. So now instead of just consolidating, which was a really nice feature that we originally added, you can also zip all of these up and deliver them to your customers all in one zip file. Send day of week, we can define what day they receive it on if it's being automated. So maybe we want to batch everything up on Fridays as an example. Excluding of on-hold invoice from batch functions. So we have the kind of user-defined ability to skip certain documents that are being sent out. And then we've also added some functionality around file attachment names so that you can get more specific when sending these out to your customers. I think for now, that's all we've got in the PowerPoint. I want to give most of the time to Carlie to jump through that live demo. So looks like she's already in Business Central there. And Carlie, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. All right, so just to kind of lay the structure of this meeting out before I go ahead and get started, I'm going to be first going over some of our staple features, a part of this tool. We do have a previous Toolbox Tuesday where we covered everything about invoice and statement delivery, kind of some of those core functions since this tool has been out for a while now. So I would encourage everyone to go back and watch that one as well, as it'll go more in depth into sending invoices, statements, etc. I'm still going to cover some of that stuff today, but I want to make sure we focus on all of the new features as well. Okay, so in the beginning, I'm going to go over some of our staple features, and then we'll kind of switch gears to cover all of the new features that we've recently added. Okay, To get started first here, I'm going to show the AR aging report here in our tool. So this is a stable feature, but it also has a new feature that we added here. And so what this is meant for is your internal accounting team or AR team, if they want to receive your accounts receivable report on a certain frequency that you can set up. So if they want to receive it every Monday, every day, once a month, you can declare that frequency in the job queue, but this is what that's meant for. So here you'll see I have my AR aging email address set up to myself right now. You can go ahead and add multiple people separated by a semicolon here, and now it would be sending to both of these emails right here. Okay, we added this Add Aging Detail tab, and I'm just going to show you exactly what that's going to look like here. You can turn that off if you didn't want to add that extra tab into the report. Email subject and email body memo, I just want to hit on that rich text HTML that Ben mentioned here. So you'll see email subject AR aging report %2. So if I hover over email subject, you'll see that %2 is actually replaced by aging date. Okay, and so we have that in really all of our email subjects in our email body memos throughout the entire tool. So email body memo, you'll see that we have a ton of options here. What I did for the email body memo is if I open that up, I actually created a table here that you'll see when we generate this email that'll update. So 1 to 30 is %4, etc. Okay. Let's go and run this and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So I'm going to head over to the job queue, open that up here, and I'm just going to type in ISD. This is going to show me any job queue that relates to ISD, and you'll see the AR aging right here. I'm going to open this up. This is where you would create the frequency on if you want to run it on Mondays, if you want to run it every day, what time you want to run it, etc. I'm just going to run it once right now and send it over so we can just see that. And I will open up my email once that comes through. Alrighty, so I got that here. Let me bring that over. Here is what that email looked like here. So you can see it replaced the aging date. I also put it here. And then this is what my email body looks like. It's really nice. It gives a nice snapshot before actually even opening up any document. Okay, and you can see that all of those percentages were replaced by real data. Of course, I'm going to open up the spreadsheet here. And if I pull that over, here is our, when we first created this function, it just had this first tab, the AR aging. Okay, so it's of course all your customers here, their aging bands, etc. This next tab over is the new feature where it basically says, okay, so for customer 30,000, here are all of the invoices a part of that. They're aging basically. And so here's a detail of invoices at the document number, the posting date, anything that's making up that aging is now broken out into the second tab. Okay, so that's really nice. Really, you can run one quick report to get a ton of information that would take you probably 20 minutes to gather this inside of Business Central. Okay, so there's our aging new feature here and also a staple feature. I'm going to head back over to the ISD setup page. Go back here. Okay, and I'm just going to review kind of what are some of our core features here. So a big bulk of this tool, right, is sending documents to customers. That's what it's meant for. So we're sending sales invoices to customers. We're sending sales shipments, which is a new feature, sales credit memos, statements, reminders, okay? And when we're doing all of this, I'm going to use Invoice as an example right now. Here's my invoice section. You'll see that we have a section for each. So if you're doing sales invoices or service invoices, credit memos or service credit memos, etc., they each have their own section here. But to deliver these documents to your customer, you have basically 3 options. Okay, so let's review those. So again, I'm going to use an invoice as an example, but just know the same exists for all the other documents as well. So to send a sales invoice to the customer, I can email it upon posting. So when I post that sales invoice, it's going to deliver it directly to that customer right then and there, okay? If I didn't want to do that, my other option is to send it from our dashboard. And so if I come to my invoice delivery dashboard, and again, every document has their own dashboard. So you could search credit memo dashboard, and it's going to have its own dashboard. Here I'm at the invoice delivery dashboard. Here's a record of every sales invoice I've posted in the system here. Okay, I can see if it's been emailed already, if it's not been emailed, at what time was it emailed, who emailed it, etc. I can open up the document from here as well by clicking view. I can also send the documents from here. So if you want a little bit more hands-on the delivery of sending these to your customers, you can come here, see what was posted that day, right? I could select multiple like this, right? And I can come here and send right from the dashboard. This is also a place to resend them. Okay, so it can be used in more than one ways. Let's say you email it upon posting. So you post your sales invoice, send it. The customer says they never got it. I can come back here and, I can see, well, you did get it, but here I'll resend it, right? So now I can send the email again. Are you sure you want to email? I'm going to say yes. And since I've already emailed it before, it's just doing a little check. Hey, this has already been sent. Are you sure you want to resend it? And I could say yes. Okay. Once I do that, it'll of course go to my email. I'm set up right now to receive these. And right here, you can see it's been updated with the date and time of it last sent and who sent it. Okay. The last place that you can send these documents is through a job queue. Okay. And so like I showed you with the AR job queue, we're going to go right back to that same place, job queue entries. And I like to just type in ISD. It shows me any job queue related to ISD. And I'm going to go to send invoice emails. You can see we have a different job queue set up for all of these. So if I go and open this up, this scenario could be that you don't want to send it upon posting, but maybe you want to send it all of them to the customers every night. So you want to schedule it in a job queue instead. And so when you post it in the system, it's not going to send it to the customer right then and there, but maybe every night at 8 p.m., it's going to run this job queue, look to see all the sales invoices that were posted that day and shoot them out to the customer there. Okay, so this would be an option for that. This is going to be definitely used likely for statements. And so if you want to send statements to your customers on the first day of every month, you would set up the job queue here. You can look at my run date formula, which means first day of every month here. And you just basically set the status to ready and it'll shoot off on the first day of every month. Okay. So those are your three really sending options. And I'll go through some examples as I'm showing newer features. But again, you can send these documents upon posting. You can send it from the dashboard, or you can send it from the job queue. Okay, so let's go and create a sales invoice here. And we'll look at this together. And create a new sales invoice. Right. Creating this as normal. Just hit a GL account here. Okay, I don't really care which account I'm hitting right now, but let's do this. Okay, so again, I have it set up right now, so it's going to email upon posting, right? So if I hit post right now, I would expect it to go directly to the customer right then and there. I want to show one other thing really quick before we do so, and that's going to be document attachments. And so I'm going to go back to the ISD setup page here really quick. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see a section for Azure Blob storage settings. Okay, so this is used in conjunction with our tool Advanced Document Attachments. And so this is a way to store those documents on the Azure Blob rather instead of Business Central's database right here. Okay, in our setup guide, we have instructions on how to generate your shared access key, create an account, container, and everything. You can see mine set up right here. Okay, so I have these added right here. And again, that's what I'm using for this functionality here. going to go back to my sales invoice. And if you look over here, you're going to see this attachments function. And I'm going to open that up. I'm going to attach a document to the sales invoice, okay? And let's attach a file. Have one here, open that up. And I'm going to say include an email's ISD. Okay, this is a new feature we have. So I'm going to say yes. What this means is when I send the customer a copy of their sales invoice, I also want to include this attachment. Okay, so I'm going to hit yes right here. And again, I just grabbed an attachment from my desktop. It can be whatever you're attaching, probably just supplement information about the order or sales invoice here. And I'm going to hit close. Okay, when I send now the sales invoice to the customer, it should include that additional attachment. So I'm going to hit yes. Nope, I don't need to open that up, but let's go and let's wait to see this come through. And here it is. I'm going to open that up. See, I just received this, and it's saying, good day, Carlie. And again, you can modify this email body and everything about this email. Here's your sales invoice, and here's the additional attachment that you guys saw me attach, and you can attach as many as you need. Okay, so not only are you able to send the sales invoice to your customer, but also any supplement documentation that you want to attach there as well, you're able to send to the customer. Okay, and then again, this sent as soon as I posted it, but you can do the same thing from the dashboard as well. Okay, now exit out of there. And we're going to switch gears now. We kind of talked through creating documents, attaching documents to the sales invoice. You can do that with credit memos as well. And then delivering those documents again to your customer can be done upon posting from a dashboard from the job queue. Okay, I'm going to switch gears
Quick
here.
question. Yeah, quick questions in the chat. So one of them is the AR email field max values. Gina, if you need more characters there, we can look into that. Just shoot me an email. And Mike had asked if there's no email associated with a customer and it's set to send the invoice, what email address will those, what will that go to? If you have a CC address, it would go to that internal still. But if you don't have an email, Carlie, I don't think it's obviously sent anywhere. But in terms of where it's going to come from, you'd follow the email scenario. So after Carlie shows this, we can go back to the ISD setup in terms of where they're coming from. But I'll let you show this real quick.
Yep. So to address that quickly, if there's no email setup, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just not going to send. It's going to fail. There's no place to send it. One thing to quick touch on the customer card, the AR email here, this is the customer's email address. So this is who it's going to send to. It's going to look at this field. You can put, again, multiple emails here separated by semicolon. If you have different documents that need to go to different emails, you can click this button here and say a posted sales invoice should go to this email, a statement should go to this email, etc. Okay. And then let me delete that out. If you already have this field populated, this is a base Business Central field email, our tool will look at this field as well. So if you already have this populated and you don't have anything here, it'll actually look at that email field for you, okay? And then lastly, where these emails are coming from is your email account set up inside of Business Central. And so you should have an email account set up here. I'd recommend a shared mailbox, but you can do anything here. And then I like to assign scenarios. And so if I come here, and I'll show this on the setup as well, you can see that this email should be used for customer statements, reminders, credit memos, etc. So what you could do is set up, multiple emails saying that when we send a customer statement, it should come from this email, but when we send them a sales invoice, it should be coming from a different email, etc. You can set up those email scenarios. Let me go back to our setup page here. So for an invoice, for example, it'll say email sender assigned, which means assigned scenarios like I just showed. And then the scenario assignment is a sales invoice. So it's saying, look at my email account that's set up, look at where I have an email scenario set up to sales invoice and send from that email.
Yeah, so Mike, to answer your question there, you could have different, like Carlie said, you could have different senders for invoices versus maybe a vendor remittance like we have in a different advanced accounting tool, right? So there's some flexibility and variability there. The other thing Carlie showed was that you can consolidate the invoices. So instead of sending one email per record on that dashboard, if you select 5 invoices from the same customer, you can have the setting on a customer card basis be that it consolidates those all. Maybe it's 5 attachments, or there's an option to consolidate them all into one PDF, and each page would be an invoice. Just another popular feature I have seen a lot that people like. So definitely want to call that out.
Okay, so I'm just going to head over to a customer card here, and I showed where to set up the email, just to hit on a few more of those customer specific fields here. Go down. So here's where you set up the AR email. This is what Ben just mentioned, the invoice consolidation. If when you're sending the customer these invoices from the dashboard, if you want it to send as one email instead of if they have 5 invoices, you don't want it to shoot out 5 emails to them. It'd be one email with 5 documents attached. This is where you can do that. And you have different options here. You can also modify your statement delivery options. And so when you send the customer their customer statement, if you want it to be statement only, statement separate files, or consolidated files. And so what these last 2 options do is it not only sends them the statement, but it's going to send them any document attached to that statement as well. And so if they have 5 invoices that are outstanding on their customer statement, it's going to send them one document that's the statement. And then for the separate file option, it would include in that same email 5 separate documents for every invoice. This last option here would be 2 files total. One file is the statement, then the other file is one big file with all 5 invoices attached to that one document. Okay, so they're receiving the same thing, it's just consolidating those invoices versus not is the options here. Okay. When you're doing that as well, you can have the invoices sent on a specific day of the week. So if client wants to receive these on Mondays, it would shoot out those on a Monday. And if you're using the job queue, it'll look at this as well. Okay. Email subject and body memo. This is if you want a customer specific email subject and body memo that overrides what you set up on the setup page. So I don't have anything here, so it'll just look at what my settings are on the setup page. And then these again are kind of same concept. This will override the setup page. So if I don't have email upon posting turned on the setup page, but I want to do it for this specific customer, I can do that here. Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to switch gears to recurring documents to make sure we cover everything here. So recurring documents are a way to set up a document one time and then have those know to shoot out to the customer with a specific frequency. So I'm going to go through an example of creating a sales invoice for rent, and we can watch how once I create that one time, it knows to generate that out and send that to the customer once a month, as my frequency will do, and the options we have there. Okay, so I'm going to go over to recurring sales documents. Okay, and recurring sales documents is where I create my recurring document. So I can create a recurring sales order or a recurring sales invoice. Here are my current recurring sales invoices. Okay, so anything that's here means that these are kind of active recurring documents. Okay, we send a recurring document to Alpine Ski House once a month. We send a recurring document to School of Fine Art once a month as well. I'm going to create a new sales invoice, recurring sales invoice, and we'll walk through this together. Okay, so right away, it looks pretty much identical to the out-of-box sales invoice, right? It really is the same page. We just added some new fields on it for you. So what you'll do is you'll just create your sales invoice as normal. I like to do that first, okay? So you can update any of this information. I'm going to add rent here as my GL line. Okay. 1900, fill out any information I need. Okay, and now where the recurring settings come in are right here. Okay, and so this is where I set up the settings on how often I want it to reoccur. So let's go through this. So I'm going to say once a month for rent. You can set this up however you'd like. If you have specific dates that you want this to reoccur on, you can hit this eclipse button right here. It's going to open up a schedule where I can say, here is the exact dates that I want this to hit post and generate in the system. Okay, I'm just going to say once a month right now. This option right here, we have 3 options. And so you can think of this page that we're at right now, it's just the template. Okay, this is the template I'm creating to create these recurring documents. We have a separate page that I'll show next that is actually the place where I will generate these documents. And so when that generation happens, okay, do we want to create the sales invoice and leave it open? What that means is it would create it and it would push it into your normal sales invoice list, but it leaves it there and wants somebody to go in there and review it and post it. Okay, so a little bit more hands-on with that approach. Create and release is really the same thing, but it'll push the status to a release spot. So if you're dealing with sales orders and inventory, this is something you'd want to look at. The last option is the most hands-free approach. And so you basically create this template. I set it up to create and post. It'll automatically post through your sales invoice and you'll just see it on your ledger. And so nobody will ever have to go in there and actually post it. It'll do that itself. Okay. I'm going to create and leave it open so we can kind of go through all the steps together. Next, you'll see 2 dates. You'll see a next occurrence date and a next occurrence posting date. Okay. And what these are really meant for. And so let's say with rent, we need to send the customer the invoice. Let's use March 1st. It's due. Rent is due March 1st. Well, if we send them the invoice on March 1st, maybe they're not actually going to pay it on March 1st when it's actually due. We want to send it maybe 7 days in advance. So what I can do is say my next occurrence date is maybe 2/24. And then you'll see that it says the next posting date is 3/1/2025. What that does is it allows us to send it to the customer in advance, but it's not actually going to post in the system until March 1st. And so your AR and everything is accurate. Okay, so we're sending it to the customer in advance, letting them know, hey, this rent is due on March 1st, but making sure that it's hitting the GL in the appropriate timeline. You saw that it defaulted to 3/1 after I clicked 2/24, and that's just because in my setup page, I have a setting here. Let me show you. If I go down here, you can see the posting date offset. So that's why it knew to do it 5 days later, is because, I want to send them the invoice 5 days before it's actually due. So it knew to actually calculate that. You can change this to whatever you would like. Okay. All right. A couple other things, you have an expiration date. So if I know, maybe this March 1st is the first month, it's a 12-month lease. I'm going to do 2/28/26. That's when it's going to expire. After that date, it'll actually push this to expired so it knows not to generate that anymore. And then if for some reason this is on hold, we don't want to send these out to the customer, I can push this on hold until a certain date and it just kind of freezes that for you. Okay. Alrighty, so like I said, this again is kind of your template. From here, you're done. You can come back and update these reoccurring settings whenever you would like, but really I'm done. The next step would be to actually generate these recurring documents, okay? So if I I'm going to type in IST. The page we were just at is recurring sales documents. I'm now looking at recurring sales documents to be invoiced, okay? This is going to show me anything that needs to be invoiced to the customer. So I can see that we have an invoice that needs to be generated or it's going to occur on 2/24 here. I can come in here and now generate these sales documents, okay? So I'm going to click Generate Sales Documents, hit yes. And you can see it removed that because now I generated it, and it's not going to show me that until it needs to be generated again. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sales invoice list. And you can see it's right here. And again, it came to my sales invoice list directly because my reoccurring settings were create and leave open. So I'm requiring somebody to come in here, review it, and post it. Okay, the alternative could have been that I create and post it. And so it never would have really came to this spot. It just would have gone directly through the posting process automatically into your posted sales invoice. So you'd see it right on the customer's account directly. But with this approach, I would come here and now I can post it, and then my rent is posted. Okay, so there's the cycle.
Quick question. Oh.
Go ahead.
Sorry, my mic was echoing. That should be better. On that piece, we can also put, we can use those wildcards or those flow fields similar to what we saw before. So you can use 3-4 to say rent for March 2025 as an example. That's one thing. And then the other thing that you probably noticed in that occurrence date was that flows through to the document date, like Carlie had mentioned. So if you've ever gotten an invoice from me that's recurring for any of the BC Toolbox things, we use this as well internally. So there's a lot of additional things you can do there, and it'll also mark it as a recurring invoice, so you can do some reporting on that if needed, that you kind of see down there in the bottom. So just some other kind of nuggets of information that I always find useful that I like to share. But yeah, it looks like Carlie's doing that there. So you can do 3 and it would say prepaid rent for March or whatever. Just kind of gives you, or the customer that you're sending it to, a little bit more information in terms of the time period there. So I know we're crunched for time, Carlie, so I'll let you keep going.
Nope, thank you, Ben. So again, recurring sales documents, really 2 key pages. You have those recurring sales documents page where that's where you kind of create those templates as I described, and then your other page here where you actually generate them after they've been initially created is that recurring sales documents to be invoiced. It's going to show you anything that needs to be invoiced to the customer. Okay. I'm going to switch gears and show one other feature here. So I'm going to go to my invoice delivery dashboard, and we'll just use that invoice I just posted for rent as an example. And let's see here. Is it? Yep, it's that one here at the top. Let's say that I posted that document. It happened to be rent to that customer, and maybe the price was wrong. Okay, with out-of-box Business Central functionality, the process would be you would either have to cancel, correct that invoice, issue a credit memo against it, then create a new invoice, right? Or send to the customer an additional invoice, so they'd be getting 2 for the total amount. What we have added with ISD is a way to update the document after it's been posted, and that includes the price. And so if I say update document right here, okay, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to actually insert a GL line. Okay, I can update this here. I can insert a GL line. I can insert a comment line. So here, sorry, I'll insert a comment line. And maybe I'll just say updated rent as of 3/1. And I can change that here to maybe 2,100. Okay, once I do that, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to update unit price? This will post all the appropriate customer and GL entries. So of course, not only is it going to update the face of the document, but it's actually updating the GL entries as well. So I'm going to say yes and hit OK. If I scroll over, you can see the amount is now 2,100 right here. But let's actually navigate. Let's go to the customer ledger entries and look at those GL entries that actually posted as well with that update. So if I go to customer ledger entries, excuse me, again, here's the 2100 that it previously was 1800. I'm going to say find entries. Okay, let's sort these by entry number so we can see how it posted them. So the first two entries here were my initial sales invoice that we posted for rent. Those second two entries you can see is a unit price adjustment that I did through the invoice delivery dashboard for the additional $300. Okay, so it should have increased AR by 300, which it did there, a debit to AR, and a credit to whatever was on my GL account line, which happened to be this prepaid rent, I think it is. Okay. So again, that's a way to update documents with comment lines, the actual unit price of the document, and actually have it flow to the GL and customer ledger correctly. Okay. So we've hit on a lot of the core functionality that we've had in this tool for a bit now. Let's start to kind of switch gears to some of the newer features that we've added here. We've touched on some of them a little bit already, so we'll just keep going from there. I'm going to go back to my ISD setup page. And just real quick, if you want to include, let's say we're sending the customer their statement and their invoices, if you want to include those as just one zip file to the customer, as Ben mentioned earlier, this is just that quick button where you can do that. So if you have attached files as a zip, anytime the tool is sending out emails with documents attached, it's going to zip those documents instead of sending them separately as PDFs. Okay, so I'm going to keep them off as PDFs so we can see those, but this is where you would do that right there. We already reviewed that detailed tab on the AR aging report. That's the first thing we viewed. So again, that's this feature right here to turn that on. A new feature we've added is sales shipments. So this whole section right here is new. So we'll just go through this together. This is the way when you create a sales order and you ship and not necessarily invoice, that we're going to send the customer a notification that, hey, your order has shipped. Okay, so few options here. I can send to the customer, and this is new as well. Send to the customer. I can send to the salesperson on the customer card, or I can send to the salesperson on the document, because it can be different. Okay, if they're the same, it doesn't necessarily matter. But if the salesperson on the customer is different than the salesperson for this individual sales order, that's how you can differentiate it there. Or I could send to all of the above. Okay, so again, this is who I'm sending this sales shipment notification to. I'm going to leave it as the customer. This feature right here is available in every single section. So when I say section, I mean sales invoices, service invoices, credit memos, service credit memos, payment receipts, statements, etc. So you have the ability to alter who you're sending these documents to. Okay, I'm just happening to review it for the sales shipments right here. The second feature that kind of goes along with that is the ship to email. Okay, so if you have a customer set up and they have different ship to addresses, and with each of those ship to addresses, a different person from the location should be receiving these notifications. Okay, this is a way to send the sales shipment notification to whoever's set up on your ship to address as well. And again, this is available in every section as well. And so you can do it for invoices, credit memos, payment receipts, etc. I'm just reviewing it on our shipment tab right here. So you have a few options. You can not include it. So I don't want to send it to the ship to email. I can override it. So instead of sending to the customer, I'm going to send to the ship to. Okay, or I can append. So in this example, it's going to send to my customer, the email set up on my customer card, and the email set up on my ship to email. So let's review that all together. Okay, so I'm going to go and let's start at a customer card. Okay. So with what we just reviewed, I have it set up to send to my customer email, which is this right here, and to send to the ship to email if there is one. So if I come down here and I go to my ship to codes, let's open this one up. If I use this ship to address on a sales order, which we'll do together, it's going to also send it to this email associated with this ship to address. Okay, so when I post that shipment, it's going to send to both of those emails. Okay, so let's do that together. And go back here. And let's create a new document. We'll do a sales order. Okay. Adding some inventory. Let's add the quantity here. And we, of course, need a ship to. So I'm going to say an alternate shipping address here. Should open up my ship to list. And I'm going to pick that one we have created. Okay. And so now let's post the shipment. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to ship. So again, I'm going to ship. I should receive an email, and this process is new. So the ability to send notifications to the customer when we just ship and not invoice, that process is new. And then the second piece is that we're also sending it to the ship to email address. Okay, so I got that in here. Let's open that up. You can see I received it to this email here, which was my customer's AR email address. And then the second email here is set up to the ship to email address. Okay, so both receive that. You can do the same thing for any document. So this is sales shipments, but you can do the same process for invoices, credit memos, payment receipts, etc. And then this is just my basic email body, but it does have the shipment document number in there and also the date it shipped as well. You guys can update this to whatever you would like. Right? So there's sales shipments, kind of altering who we're sending the document to, who's receiving those, including the ship to email address as well. Okay. One newer feature as well that we have added, so I'm going to just stay on the sales order right here, is the skip auto email ISD. Okay, so on my setup page, I have it set up that when I post this sales order and it creates an invoice, it should send that out to my customer immediately. Well, maybe there's a scenario where you don't want to actually send this invoice to the customer. If you hit skip auto email ISD and you post it and you invoice, it's going to skip this one. Okay, meaning it's not going to send it to the customer. So probably just a scenario by scenario thing here, but we did add that functionality. So there is a way to prevent one from sending if you want to use that email upon posting. Okay, so even though I just posted that, it's actually not going to send. Okay. I'm going to head back over to the ISD setup page quick. Okay. And let's look at two things here. And I'm going to look at this statement section. One thing we've added is you have the ability to name these files whatever you would like. So let me open up one of these here. You can see that on this email I received, the name of the document is sales shipment with the shipment number. Okay. If you would like it to be something else, that's what we've added here. So I'm looking at statements, for example, but you can do this in every section. If you just use the default, it's just going to be called statement. But if you would like to put something custom here, you can again hover over this field here and it's going to show you, you can use %1 for company name, %2 for document, etc. And you can type in, customer statement dash %, 1, whatever you'd like. And now instead of the default file name, it's going to use this file name right here. Okay, so there's a newer feature. The other thing I'd like to hit on is this exclude on hold invoices. Okay, and so this is when you're sending out customer statements. Let's say that there's a document that you don't want to include in their statement. Maybe it was a scenario where you guys had to do some like internal accounting kind of touch up, fixing something internally that necessarily the customer shouldn't receive this invoice, but maybe it needs posted in the system just to kind of clean things up. This is a way to exclude that. Okay, so if I go to my customer card here, I'm going to navigate to their ledger entries. Okay, here are their open documents. If I scroll over, we have this on hold column here. Okay, let's say that maybe this invoice right here is on hold, meaning I don't really want to include it in their statement. Maybe until I know more information. Maybe it's never going to be included in their statement. If I put on hold to yes, and I go back now and I send the customer their statement, I can do so right here. I could do so through the job queue, and I could do so through a dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to send it right here and now, but there are different ways to send the statement. I'm going to say send statement email. Say yes. That invoice would be excluded from the statement altogether. Okay, I'll just wait for that to come through. Okay, you can see the name of my customer statement was right here because I did do a custom name. And here is one document with all of my consolidated sales invoices. My statement would not include that one I just put on hold here. Okay. Alrighty, that is all of the newer features that we wanted to hit, along with some of those staple features that I reviewed as well. Again, just a reminder, we do have that other Toolbox Tuesday previously. We could probably find that link at here after the call, where I go more in depth into creating invoices, sending them from the dashboard, doing the same thing with statements, etc. Just more in-depth review of actually sending out those customer statements as well. So we can go look back at that one, and I would encourage you guys to do that. I'm going to switch gears here back to the PowerPoint to finish off. Let me get that going.
I can grab it real quick, Carlie. One other thing, I use this in my, oh, hold on. I'm going to steal the screen from you real quick, actually, if you don't mind. This is one of the things, like I said, we use at ERP Connect every day to send our invoices. So when highlighting that like rich text HTML piece that we looked at, I have sent this out of my demo. You see the company name it's sending from, sales invoice number, and even the customer name. I've even thrown things like my signature in there. This is obviously old, but in our demo system, some upcoming events and links. These are all clickable. Like if you want to book a meeting, right here with me right now, and even the ability to pay with other third-party providers. In this case, I'm using Paystand Link to do this, but whole bunch of different features and functions there, right? So company branding, I think for me is something that's very important, especially when we're sending those out. So I'll finish this up, but appreciate that demo, Carlie. That was awesome. Love to see all the new features in there. So next steps, what can you do in order to be successful with these applications? I'm going to start to drop a handful of links in the chat. The first one is going to be our download of the 30-day free trial from AppSource, right? So partners can get this in their demo environments, end users get it in your sandbox environment, play around with it, right? You've got 30 days to do whatever you want. You can even put it in your production instance, and we do have the ability to put a test email address in there, so you don't have to go update every single customer in order to test it, right? So we've seen that as a popular option as well. And then of course, when you're ready to purchase the full version, you already have it in your production instance. Activation videos. So this is about 90 seconds long. I'm going to drop this in the chat as well. And the activation video is just going to walk you through what you need to do to generate that 30-day demo, as well as anything in the setup page and permissions for the application for your users. Next, we've got our product page. So I'm going to drop that in here, and I've already dropped App Source in there as well up top. But what this is going to include is summaries, screenshots, user setup guides, videos. You see YouTube there as well. I've got everything linked on YouTube, which is this next link I'm dropping in. So kind of the general theme, there's a ton of content out there, right? Video walkthroughs, demos, all of our Toolbox Tuesday recordings like this one, which will be up later today or tomorrow morning. And then finally, our product guide. So if you're interested in anything else outside of just invoice and statement delivery, we've got 36 products total on our website right now, as well as available on AppSource. That product guide is going to give you a one-pager on everything: fit gap analysis, standard configuration and training times, kind of teeing it up so that you can see how much effort you can anticipate to put in either yourself by self-implementing with our user documentation and videos, or if you'd like our help, we of course have our professional service team that can help implement any of these applications for you. We already went through kind of a Q&A, but if there's any other questions, I'll stick around for a few more minutes. I've got until the top of the hour. If so, I already see one that I'll answer there in a second, but two other quick things. Invoice and statement delivery continues to be one of our top downloaded, top selling apps. If anybody goes in there and really likes what they're seeing and wants to leave a public review on AppSource, we'd be more than happy to send them a $25 Amazon gift card. So just screenshot it, send it to me, and we'll get that over to you kind of as a thank you, both for coming today, as well as sharing some of your feedback. As you know, that helps get us continuously to the top of AppSource, which allows us to continuously invest in the applications and invest in a lot of those features that you saw today. So as a thank you, we're more than happy to do that. And what's upcoming, right? Our next Toolbox Tuesday is going to be on our coupons app. Feel free to scan that QR code and make sure that you register for that one. That should be a great session. This coupons app is another free app that we have, similar to our health check. And for anybody that's been going to these summit roadshows, next week we've got a roadshow in Dallas, which is where I live. So I will be there, be sponsoring it, and be sharing some more information on the Business Central Health Check. If you're in the DFW area, we'd highly encourage you come, and we would love to see you there. So with that, I think that wraps everything up for today. I'll stick around for a few more minutes, but as always, thank you, Carlie, for the great demo, and appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We'll see you on the next Toolbox Tuesday.